Hello, this is Paul again, and we are into the fourth part of Unit 3. And in the previous part, we did talk about the control panel and quite a few elements in there that causes certain changes to be made on your computer to handle things in a proper way. Most of those things we go and expect a professional to come in and do it for us. However, now you can do a lot of things and be able to do it for yourself. I would like to point out that there is a safety mechanism in case you make mistakes. And in those mistakes, there is a resource to be able to undo those mistakes and start over. Windows XP has introduced the restoration point. When you turn on your computer and start using Windows and do certain things throughout the program until there is major changes, this restoration point can be established as doing work while it goes on in the background. You might be doing an installation of a program in the front, and in the background Windows XP is already marking that spot that you can return to in the case of a catastrophe. This could be because the program is not really compatible for the system, or you simply have no use for it. So there is that provision available for you. Up to this point, we've been working with this type of view as we've been going into the different capabilities of making major settings to our computer and be able to point out the icons that are important to us. Please be aware that this view is most common when you have a professional come on and be able to work on your computer. This is their preference. However, this is not what all we have to deal with. Very often you will want to be able to use this in a more of a layman's way of looking at things. Like I said, this is the classic view, and as we have this classic view, it reflects back to what earlier versions of Windows have performed. However, now we have a new capability that in the left-hand corner of this window, not all the way at the top, but on the blue section on the left, there is a selection to switch views, and what it is to go to an opposite view that is more usable for the lay person. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by this, but in that left-hand column there, I am pointing to the button that will switch from one view to the other. There is only two views. It's a classic view and a category view. That's all it is. And clicking on this area here, it will go back and forth from one view to the other. At this time, we will click on that and take a look at the category view. In this view, we will now look to the purpose that we want to use this control panel for. And as an example, I would like to direct your attention to some very necessary work that is very rarely done on the computer. And I have people that do call me to help them in the assistance of what this will do for them. Now, this where I'm pointing to is to help you do certain maintenance to your hard drive, which is very necessary. Very often there is a lot of files written to your hard drive that will enable certain functions to take place. For example, there are downloads that are taking place from the web when you want to store certain information. Also, certain views are saved so that your browser will work much faster. Well, a lot of these files accumulate over a period of time and needs to be cleared out. We are going to take a look at this and see how that works. When you make a selection on these menus, you can either select on the icons that are right next to it, or you can select on the wording that all of it becomes a hotspot. So once we make that selection on from the main menu, you will be able to make a selection to go to the hard disk maintenance. Once you get there, it will verify that you're working with your C drive, and your C drive is the one that is the hard disk on your computer. Only if you have a second hard drive in it will there be any other selections. Now, once you do make that selection, this window will populate. It might take a couple minutes for it to happen, and it'll give you how much space will be freed up if you choose to remove these files. And as you can see on this window, there is quite a few space being taken up by different files that are no longer necessary on your system. Once you verify what you want removed from the hard drive, then you will press OK. Before I get ahead of myself too far, let me explain this window to you. In this listing, you'll notice that down the center of the white window is a list of the different types of files and locations where files can be removed. And if you take a notice on the extreme left, there's check boxes where you make your selections. Now also, we will take notice that at the top of this window, in the wording, it will include how much space can be recovered if everything was selected on that list. Now also, on the bottom of that list, there is a total of how much space you'll be freeing up if you continue with the selections that is already made for you. Looking back to the individual list, you'll notice that to the right of each of the listings is the amount of space that is available to be removed. And using the scroll down bar, you'll see the other selections that are taking up space on your drive that can be safely removed. On the bottom of this list, you'll be able to see that there is a total amount of actual size of the total files and how much space is going to be freed up on your hard drive if you go ahead with the selections that are made. However, you can go over that list and be able to increase it to the maximum value that is on the top of the page. You do have that option. The same as all other operations, you will press the OK button for it to proceed, or you have an option to cancel this whole operation. And since we want to make extra room on our drive, we are going to say OK. At this point, the screen will change, and we will have the compression of the drive being made while it removes the unwanted files, which are all temporary files that you don't need anymore. And after a period of time, you might even go have a cup of coffee or take a break, depending upon the size of your drive, how long it will take, and that portion of your hard drive will be cleaned up. I am now going back to the window that says pick a category. We're still in the category view, and we're going to look up some information about our computer. There is certain information that needs to be known whenever you talk to technical support that you can logically discuss what's going on with your computer. And if you know this stuff, you will be able to understand what he's trying to explain to you. A simple explanation of what I have on display here is that in the old days you would be able to go into the help menu and type in this exact wording without the dashes. What am I? And it'll give you the system information of what is configured there and how much memory you have. After making this selection, you will get a window like this that will explain several things. There is a lot of tabs on this, but we're going to talk primarily about the general view here that gives us the information exactly what is going on with your computer. First of all, there's a section there that says System, and we realize that we are working with Windows XP Professional and the version that it is, which it came out in 2002. It is also working with Service Pack 3. Now this system is registered to me, Paul Jones, under my trade name WinUSA and the serial number of my operating system with Microsoft. On the bottom portion of it, it is the computer that tells me that I have an AMD Athlon processor. I am running at 1.10 gigahertz and I have 512 of memory. And this is typical of what kind of computers we are distributing in the class. They are completely refurbished with OpenOffice installed on it. Now, with this information, technical support is going to be able to help you much better with any problem that you are experiencing. This is the conclusion of Unit 3. It has been done in 4 different parts to give you the maximum information I can give you. Much of this material is not really covered in the class, but it is completed for your convenience and for your knowledge to get to know as much as possible. Now, I need to remind you that this is a 12-part lesson, and people who comes to our class and has 10 different lessons will get a free computer. And upon completion of all 12 lessons, they are able to receive a certificate that is good for further education. Now, I would like to also recommend that if you have a problem with this, understanding it all, recycle of the classes or re-listening to any portions here will be most beneficial for you. Listening to these classes online will not constitute attendance at the classes. I hand out notes for these, and these notes will establish that you have actually attended the class. So I do hope that you do take advantage of this program. We have a number of classes throughout the day that will meet your schedule at any possibility, and it's enough to accommodate should any changes necessary to be made. Now, we start off with 1 in the morning at 10 o'clock, and then I have 2 in the afternoon at 1:30 and 3 o'clock. Now, Ken Eng, which is the other instructor, will come in at 7 o'clock and be able to conduct the final class. You can attend any one of these classes for the same and equal attendance, and if you attend more than one class, it will still constitute for 1 attendance. Now, in the event that we have errors, your collection of our notes will be sufficient for the collection of your free computer. So, I hope you take advantage of this program. It will be a pleasure to be able to meet with you and answer all the questions that can come up.